ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಗೆಳೆಯರೆ, ಕೌಂಡಿನ್ಯ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಸುಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಈ ದಿನ ನಾವು ಎಸ್ಎ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ SDAಗೆ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ತುಂಬ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಜೊತೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂತ, ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಎಸ್ಎ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಬರೀಲೇಬೇಕು. ಎಸ್ಎ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಕೂರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಬರೆದು ತುಂಬಾನೇ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ತುಂಬ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಆಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವೊಂದು ಪ್ರಿಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. 15 ಎಸ್ಸೆ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. 15 ಎಸ್ಸೆನು ನೀಟಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ. ಇನ್ನೂ 5 ಇದಾವೆ, ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದನ್ನು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ನೇ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಇರೋವಂಥದ್ನೇ ನೋಡಿ ಫುಲ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ಇದನ್ನ ವೈಟ್ ಶೀಟ್ಸ್ನ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ವೈಟ್ ಕಲರ್ ಶೀಟ್ಸ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡು ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಇಂಟ್ರಡಕ್ಷನ್, ಬಾಡಿ ಕನ್ಕ್ಲೂಷನ್ ಫುಲ್ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ. ಇಂಟ್ರಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರಿ. ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಇನ್ಯಾವುದೋ ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ, ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲಿ, ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ಝಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸು ರಿಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಾ ಹೋಗಿ. ತುಂಬಾನೇ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಎಡಿಟೋರಿಯಲ್ ಕಾಲಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಬಹಳ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಆಥರ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗ್ತವೆ, ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಎಸ್ಸೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ 15ರಿಂದ 20 ಎಸ್ಸೆನ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಆ ಥೀಮ್ನ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ವಿಮರ್ಶಾತ್ಮಕ ಬರೆಯೋ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಕೇಪಬಿಲಿಟಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಆಗ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಅವರ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಕೀಗೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಮಿಲಾರಿಟಿ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಆಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ಕೋರಿಂಗ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸು ಡಾಟಾ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ವೈಟ್ ಶೀಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಇದನ್ನ ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಬರಿಬೇಕು. ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಬರೆದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ. ಸೊ ಆ ಗ್ಯಾಪಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಡೈಲಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದಾಗ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ರಿಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ನ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾ ಹೋಗಿ. ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಎಸ್ಸೆ ರೆಡಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭಿಸೋಣ. ನೀವಿನ್ನೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನಲ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಆಗಿ, ಮತ್ತು ವಿಡಿಯೋನ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ಗೆ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಬರುವಂಥ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನೇ ಬರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥವನ್ನೇ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ತುಂಬಾ ರಿಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥವನ್ನ ಯುಟಿಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ SDA ಒಂದೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದನ್ನೇ ಹಾಕಿ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಸುಮಾರು ಜನ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಬೇಡಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಬೇಡಿ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಬೇಡಿ. ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಓದಿ, 10 to 12 hours ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಓದಿ. ಆದರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸು ಇದ್ದಾವೆ, ಮರಿಬೇಡಿ. ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಹಾಕಿರಿ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾಲ್ ಆದರೂ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಹಾಕಿರಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸು ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಇನ್ನು ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ, ಇನ್ನು ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. 4 to 5 months ಇಸ್ ಎನಫ್. ಎನಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ 4 ರಿಂದ 5 ತಿಂಗಳು ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓದೋ ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಏನು ಓದಬೇಕು, ಏನು ಓದಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ಪೇಪರ್ ಸೆಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಟ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ. ಅದೊಂದು ಕೇಪಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಕೋರ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ನಾವು ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಯುಟಿಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಇದನ್ನ ಬರೆದಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಎಸ್ಐ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ನ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಅನುಭವ ಇರೋರ ಮಾತನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿ, ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅಷ್ಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಲ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟೋಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬರೀರಿ. ಬರೆದು ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇರಬೇಕು. ತುಂಬಾನೇ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಫ್ಲೋ ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಎಸ್ಎ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಬರೆಯೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಹಿಂದೆಗಡೆ ಇನ್ವಿಜಿಲೇಟರ್ ಕೇಳಿ, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊನೆಯ ಶೀಟಲ್ಲಿ ರಫ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಎಸ್ಎ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ನ ಬರೀತೀರಾ, ಆ ಎಸ್ಎ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಗೆ ಮೇನ್ ಒಂದು 15ರಿಂದ 20 ಮೇನ್ ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭಿಸೋಣ ಬನ್ನಿ.
Hi, welcome to Coundinya Institute for Competitive Studies. So as we know, in the previous videos we have listed some of the important essays. So here from that list we have taken today's topic is environmental pollution. So in this environmental pollution, like you all you're used to write this essay from your school days, but you have to make a little bit changes while writing this essay in your competitive exam. So what are the pollutions you have come across, like air pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution? And you have different types of pollutions like radioactive pollutions, like that you have pollution. So you have to like how this can be caused, and what are the solutions, or what are the preservations, or like measurements we have to take to overcome this solutions or this problem. So each and every point you have to quote with the sentences wise. And in this video, I have listed all the important notes about this particular with each segments like air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, etc. So please make a notes of it and practice well. So here in the introduction part, like environmental pollution is the addition of contaminants into the natural environment that causes the detrimental effects to nature and natural resources and mankind. Like as we all know, environmental pollution is nothing but it's an addition of contaminants. Like ಈಗ ಪರಿಸರ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕಂಟಾಮಿನೇಟ್ ಆದರೆ, ಲೈಕ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆದರೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ contaminants. So that is affects our environment. So that causes a detrimental effects to nature, natural resource and mankind. Any unnatural and negative changes in all the dimensions like chemical, physical, biological characteristics of any components of an ecosystem. So as we all know, we are depending on the ecosystem. Like in the ecosystem, we have like primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, like that. So this is about we are depending on the ecosystem, so we cannot leave the ecosystem and live. So that is why we have to maintain this ecosystem. If one the ecosystem is imbalanced, all full ecosystem will get collapsed. So that is the air, water or the soil, which can cause harmful effects on various forms of life, and property is called as environmental pollution. So you have to write what is meant by environmental pollution here, right? Environmental pollution has existed for centuries, but evidences suggest that since the Industrial Revolution, contaminants in atmosphere have been growing a day by day and resulting in severe damage to the earth. Like as we all know, this environment pollution is increasing a day by day. So we are damaging the earth. So this will leads to the global warming, right? So hazardous waste, toxic chemicals, suspended particles are affecting both humans and animals. Many of toxic chemicals and plastic have found their way in ecological food chain. Environmental pollution is a primary reason for the rise of global warming and many incurable diseases. So like because of these pollutions, we are facing so many diseases. Like it is incurable disease, like in for the air pollution we have like asthma, bronchitis, everything. So this all comes from air pollution, right? So like that we have so many incurable diseases. That is all from the because of environmental pollution. So we have to do some of the important steps. So in the next slides we'll discuss about each and every pollutions and how it is affected to the human lives, and what are the preservative measures you have to take in. So the next slide will be discussed. Okay. So what are the pollutants and its type? Before studying about the different type of pollutions, we have to know, like, to understand the meaning of pollutants. So pollutants are the contaminants that get introduced into the natural environment beyond the permitted limits and cause the undesirable effects of adversely affects the usefulness of a resource. They can be classified into primary and the secondary pollutant. The primary pollutants such as carbon monoxide and plastic remain in the form in which they were added to the environment. So we have we have a pollutant. So we have to write the definition for pollutants. What I mean by pollutant, that I have given here. So copy this notes and practice and write. So you have to write the pollutants and its types. Okay. So secondary pollutants are formed due to interaction of primary pollutant among themselves. Like in the primary pollutant, what we have discussed, like carbon monoxide and plastic, right? So how the secondary pollutants are formed? By the interaction of this by the primary pollutants among themselves. Ozone is example for secondary pollutant, which is formed when hydrocarbons and nitrogen oxides combine in the presence of sunlight. So this affects the ozone layer, right? On the basis of origin, pollutants can be anthropogenic, nothing but it's a human made, or the natural burning of fossil fuels, sewage, etc. Can cause anthropogenic pollutions, whereas volcanic dust photochemically formed ozone is an example of natural resources of pollutants. On the basis of degradability, pollutants can be biodegradable or non-biodegradable. Biodegradable pollutants such as paper products, vegetables, etc. are broken down naturally by microorganisms and are not harmful to the environment. Biodegradable pollutants such as polythene, plastic, etc. cannot be broken down into smaller, harmful, harmless or the simpler substances. Like we have a pollutant like biodegradable and non-biodegradable, right? So biodegradable, nothing but this pollutant can be like decomposed with the microorganisms. Like ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಆಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಡಿಕಂಪೋಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದೇ ನಾನ್ ಬಯೋಡಿಗ್ರೇಡಬಲ್ ಪಲ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಪರಿಸರದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಹಾಗೆ ಉಳಿದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಅ very dangerous for the human beings or as well as in animals. But in case of biodegradable pollutant, they can be like broken down, and the decomposition takes place within the soil by the microorganism activity. So this cannot be harmful because these biodegradable pollutants are helpful for the environment. It can be used as a fertilizer like that. So in case of non-biodegradable, it is dangerous to the atmosphere, right? Type of environmental pollutions. Pollution happens in different forms such as air, water, soil, radioactive elements like light, noise and heat. So there are the different kinds of pollution. On each of them have their source and causes associated with them. Depending on the nature of pollutants and also subsequent pollutions of environmental composition, like the pollutions can be categorized as air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, noise pollution and the radioactive pollution, right? So in the next slides you have to explain the brief about this different type of pollutions. Air pollution takes place when damaging stuff including a particulate matter and biological molecules are dumped into Earth atmosphere. It can result from both human and natural actions. Natural events that pollute the air includes forest fire, volcanic eruption, wind erosion, evaporations of organic compounds and naturally radioactive activity. Man-made resources are mostly related to burning different kinds of fuels, which are chiefly oxides of carbon, sulfur and nitrogen. Exhausting fumes from a vehicle, natural gases, the burning of fossil fuels, nuclear accidents, destructive of gassing from things such as paints, plastic production and so on cause of pollution. Out of various kinds of pollution, air pollution is the major contributor to the global warming. Sulfur dioxide and the nitrogen oxide particles in the air can create an acid rain when they mix with the water and oxygen in the atmosphere. So these are all the two compounds like sulfur dioxide and the nitrogen oxide. They mix with an air and this can create an acid rain in the atmosphere. So carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide and fluorinated gases such as hydrocarbons are the major greenhouse gases emitted by natural and the artificial sources. In human, the short-term effects which are temporarily include illnesses such as pneumonia or bronchitis. They also include a discomfort such as irritation to nose, throat, eye, and skin. Long-term health effects from air pollution includes the heart disease, lung cancer, and respiratory disease such as emphysema. In India, that is a national clean air program has been launched to tackle air pollutants with a national level, right? Water pollution. Water pollution is any contaminant of water with the chemicals or other hazardous substances that are detrimental to human, animal, or plant health. For example, it releasing the inadequately treated wastewater into the natural water bodies can lead to the degradation of aquatic ecosystem. Many of these pollutants sink the ocean depth or float for a distance from an original source where they are consumed by the small marine organisms and introduced into the global food chain. Nothing but water pollution andre ಈಗ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಇಂದ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ಸ್ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ಗೆ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಅಕ್ವಾಟಿಕ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಆರ್ ಟರ್ಟಲ್. So these are all we call it as aquatic system, aquatic marine organisms. So these small marine organisms will get affected. So obviously the global food chain is also affected. So this is because of water pollution, right? Sources of water pollution are either point sources or non-point sources. Point sources have one indefinable cause of the pollution, such as storm drain, wastewater treatment plant or stream. Non-point sources are more diffuse, such as agriculture runoff, oil discharge into the surface of sea by way of accident or leakage pollute seawater to great extent in the addition to plastic waste. Water pollution can result in human health problem, poisoned wildlife, and the long-term ecosystem is damaged. With when agriculture and industrial runoff flood waterways with excess of nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, these nutrients often fuel algal blooms that then they create a dead zone where the fish and other aquatic life can no longer thrive. High level of nitrates in water form nutrient pollutions can also particularly harmful to infants, interfering with their ability to deliver oxygen to the tissues and potentially causing the blue baby syndrome. Globally, at least 2 billion of people drink water that is contaminated, according to WHO, and that they may transmit dangerous diseases such as cholera and typhoid. Two important legislations of Water Pollution Acts, that is in 1974, and the Protection Act regulates and controls the effluent discharge of water pollution. Central board at the center and state level are empowered to prevent the control and abate water pollution. The Central Board has established a network of monitoring the stations on aquatic resources across the country under a Nammi Gange program. Sewage treatment plants are installed to control the point sources of pollution at global level. The London Protocol went into the effect of 2006. Under the London Protocol, dumping of all waste and other materials is prohibited except for a short list of items like over material from drinking, right? Next is soil pollution. So soil pollution is defined as the buildup in soil of persistent toxic compounds, chemicals, salts, radioactive materials, or disease causing agents which have adverse effect on plant growth and animal health. The major contributory factor of soil pollution include use of chemical fertilizers in agriculture, practice acid rain, discharge of untreated sewage, releasing of waste from landfills, and burning of crops after harvesting. Deforestation and soil erosion also plays important role in the soil pollutions. Excess heavy metals such as arsenic, cadmium, lead and the mercury in soil can impair a plant metabolism and decrease crop productivity, ultimately putting the pressure on the arable land. When they enter the food chain, these pollutants also pose a risk to food security, water resources, rural livelihood, and the human health. To contain soil pollution, the government has launched schemes such as integrated wasteland development program and integrated watershed management program. Under the boom change, India had committed towards restoring 13 million hectares of degradable and deforested land by the year 2020 and additional 8 million hectares by 2030. Under a soil health care card scheme, soil cards are issued to farmers which carry a crop-wise recommendation or nutrients and fertilizers. Further, bio-fertilizers and manures are promoted by authorities. Next is noise pollution. Noise pollution is also known as sound pollution, is a propagation of noise with a harmful impact on the activity of human and animal life. The sources of outdoor noise worldwide is mainly caused by machine, transport and propagation system. It has now become very common due to a dense urbanization and industrialization. Noise pollutions can bring about adverse effects such as hearing loss, sleeping disorders, hypertension, and communication problems. So, Central Pollution Board, as associated with its counterparts, monitors and regulates noise pollution under the National Ambient Noise Monitoring Program, that is NANMP. Next is the radioactive pollution. So, radioactive pollution occurs when there is a presence of radioactive material in the environment. So, here we have in the previous years we have known about the Fukushima problem. So, this is because the radioactive pollution that incident has taken place, right? So, radioactive pollution occurs when there is a presence of radioactive materials in the environment, especially where there is a presence is accidental and when it is in presence in an environmental tree due to the radioactive decay. Fukushima and the Chernobyl incidents are among the prominent examples of deviations caused by radioactive pollution. Causes of radioactive pollution include nuclear accidents from nuclear energy generation plants, uses of nuclear weapons, use of nuclear isotopes, and the medical purposes for the medical purpose, mining, cosmic rays, and radioactive decay of waste products. So, cancer is the most dominant radiation-related diseases apart from leukemia, that anemia and the hemorrhage. It is also responsible for genetic mutation in animals and plants. We can prevent the radioactive pollution in the following manners. By totally stopping the leakages of radioactive material from the nuclear reactors, industries and the laboratories. So by taking a preventive measures so that the natural radiation level does not rise above the permissible limit. Mitigation and measures to tackle environmental pollutions, like preserve the physical, chemical and biological integrities of the ecosystem with the maximum protection of public health and the environment. Follow the threes, that is R as we call it as, that is reduce, reuse and recycle to conserve the natural resources and landfill space. Usage of energy efficient light bulbs can reduce the greenhouse emission. Do not discharge the chemicals into the water waste and choose a non-toxic chemicals in the home and public places. Buy less plastic and bring a reusable shopping bags. Conclusion: human beings often forget that we are largely dependent on the mother nature and become ignorant towards taking care of it. One has to see that one's action can very well impact on Earth's sustainability. Decisions and actions taken by the individual to a very large extent determine the quality of life for everyone. This necessitates that individuals should not only be aware of various environmental issues and the consequences of their action on the environment, but should also make a firm resolve to develop the environmental ethical lifestyles. So let's complete your essay on pollution. So make a notes of all the different segments like air pollution, water pollution, radioactive pollution, noise, etc. And write the conclusion also. Make a notes of it and please subscribe our channel and share to your friends. Okay, we'll meet in the next video and with the translation also. Right? Thank you.